don't know what she was cooking. She was cooking some sort of corpse that had been dead for at least like 5 years, fam, that she was trying to resurrect in her kitchen. And I evacuated. You know, like we closed all of the windows in our house and it was still penetrating. And we all evacuated. I was just like, I'm out.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 6.
We're like rolling with flying through episode 6.
Wow, is it episode 6 already?
Yes. Episode 5 last week kind of caught me off guard, actually.
Yeah. It's episode 6. So yeah, everybody, welcome to episode 6 of Juice and the Sauce podcast. This is the show that chops up and serves you life topics narrated through the love of food and most importantly, dessert. Charismatic random stories for a sweet entree, followed by a meaty main course.
By the time we got there, I knew. We tried, but you know.
All right, cool. Charismatic random stories for a sweet entree, followed by a meaty main course discussion and random flavors from the continent to round up this foodies delights of a podcast. You're joined by your host, Lisimba and Nastassja.
Hey.
How you been? How's your week been?
You know what? My week has just like flown by to the point where I'm just like, for real. We're Sunday and I'm recording again. Like we're recording again. I think this week I've just not had that chance to kind of because I'm basically I'm in a new routine. It's just like trying to get used to this new routine of just like doing my work and doing the contract work and like literally, and it's really weird because it is basically like starting this new job.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because I was talking to a friend and they're just like, you know, I know you send me messages and I just don't have time to answer the messages because I'm just like doing this and this. I'm just like, fam, you got one job. You actually have one job. How can you not answer like my messages? But you got time for like social media. But then again, I've just like, I take all of those words back because starting this new, you know, being contracted with this company, let me tell you, like, I just don't actually, I've got time to do a little bit of social media, but I open messages and I'm just like, I just don't have time to respond to you.
You know why you touched on social messages? Does it annoy you when you reach out to somebody, they don't reply, but then you see them on social, whether it's on Twitter or Snap or...
I used to be.
Okay.
But then I'm not now because I get it. It's kind of just like when you're doing social media,
okay, it's
kind of like it's your expression. It's kind of like it's like you're ranting, your release. It's a release. Because when you talk to an individual person, you want to give them all of your time and you want to kind of savor that time with them. You just don't want to give them a yeah or a no because that person means a lot to you. So you want to make sure that when you reach out to that person, you can give them you can lend them your ears, you can lend them your voice and etc. When you're doing social media, you're just letting out your frustrations. Like if you've had a shitty day, you're just like, today sucked. And it's just kind of just like, that's my rant, that's my release. When you want to talk to your friends or like your family or whoever's messaged you, you look at it and you go, I want to give that person my full attention. And because you know, once you answer that person, they're going to give you a response ASAP. Then what it becomes is like a full-blown conversation that you possibly don't want to have at that particular time because you're so tired. And it's just like, I'm so tired. This person needs energy. And now I get it. Because I'm not saying that I've become that person, but I get it that when you are just like working consistently back to back, like social media is like your rant and release. Then when you go to talk to when you want to communicate with your friends or have a conversation, it's just like, man, I need energy for that person because that person can chat. You know? So it's not a bad thing.
On that note then, do you get annoyed when people call you?
No, I actually don't. It's really weird because I know people who like, I've experienced people that say to me, can you tell me when you're going to call me? And I'm just like, why the fuck do you have a phone then? Have a house phone.
House phone?
No, I'm just like, it's kind of just like, I'm your friend. but you're telling me that can you tell me when you're going to call me? It's like, how about you have a phone and a number, and I'll use it when I feel like calling you, because that's what I do. I call you when I feel like talking to you, you know. And then when people call me, I don't get annoyed. If I don't answer your phone, it's because my hands deeper in dough, or I'm sleeping, or I'm in a meeting, or I'm doing something, but I will call you back. But I don't never get annoyed when someone calls me, because I actually prefer calls than messages.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I prefer just to like talk to you and get, if it's a straight hour conversation, straight hour, 2 hour conversation, cool. When it's messaging, I honestly, because I'm always baking, like it's kind of just like, I can't stop doing what I'm doing just to answer your message. Call me, because I can vocally say it to you and still do what I'm doing. Like, you know what I mean? So as a baker, I prefer it when people call me. Text message is kind of just like, when I see it, I'll get back to you when I see it. And I know people do get annoyed with me these days, like literally, because I don't really respond ASAP. And it's just kind of like, fam, I'm baking. I'm doing something with my hands. I'm not, you know.
No, look, that's understandable.
Do you get annoyed when people call you?
Yeah, I do sometimes. I'm not going to say all the times, only because of like, look, I like to manage like my time, and like sometimes I see sometimes a phone call, I can't lie, as an interruption of what I'm doing, right? So if I know when you're about to call me, then I can be like, oh, okay, let me not do this, let me not do that. So me and you can see how you just spoke about like setting aside time just to like share that interaction and reply to someone's social. I kind of see that with a phone call, because I see that as more involved. The thing about like messaging, I feel like I'm doing something, whether I'm like, I don't know, in the gym or at home or eating, whatever, I can message you, I can multitask. But if I'm on a phone call, I can't always multitask.
Yeah, but that's why you have the option of not answering it and then returning the person's call when you can.
Yeah, okay, cool. There is that, but it's like, still the expectation is like to get a call back within X amount of time or whatever. Okay. So, but if I at least know that you're going to call, then I can be like, okay, hit me up here. Hit me up at 6, and then I'll make sure I got that time for you. And then we just sit, we have that chat or whatever.
Okay. Because I always, you know what? No word of a lie, yeah. I always find it strange when you say to me, can we talk now? I'm just like, well, fam. In my head, I'm like, well, fam, that's why I've got a mobile. Oh. Because it's always, but you're not the only person who does that. I've got a few people, there are people who will just say, Nastassja, can I call you now? And it's just like, fam, you can call me anytime. I just don't answer my phone after 12 o'clock. I did tell a previous partner, like, yo, I don't do booty calls, innit? Like, don't call me after this time, I won't answer. But that was a joke, you know what I mean? But personally, I'm always kind of just like, when people ask, can you call me? I'm just like, fam, call me anytime you want. If I answer, I answer. If I don't answer, that means I'm busy and I will call you back. Mm-hmm. If it's urgent, if it's really, really urgent, call me and I'm not answering my phone, drop me a message, because probably I am looking at your phone call. But if you send me a message and you're just like, you know, but I'm one of those people that if someone calls me like 3 times in a row and I'm not answering, then on the third one, I'm just like, okay, this is urgent. But I never said, like, when people ask, can I call you? I'm just like, like, dude, like, this is why I have a mobile. The house phone, I understand because I'm not in my house all the time. So I'm just like, if I only had a house phone, I would tell you, you can call me in between these hours because this is when I'm at home. You get what I mean? But that's how I am. Like, I don't mind when people call me. I actually prefer calls than text messages. Like I said, I always prefer when someone calls me rather than text messages, only because of the nature of my job.
It's interesting because me, on the time thing, I can talk at any time. As long as I know, like, it could be 2 a.m., 1 a.m., I don't mind. But as long as I know, okay, I'm having a call, then I'm easy.
I'm not like that. I just pick up the phone and call you. Like, I'm like, and I know, like I said, people in the past have said, oh, can you tell me when I'm going to call you? And those are the people that I'm just like, you're weird, cut off. Not cut off, but I'm just like, the concept of a mobile phone is mobile. Therefore, it means like whenever it's on you, so you can receive calls.
But similar to like you were saying about like it's up to you to answer.
Yeah,
you
it's
have the option.
exactly. That's what I'm saying. If someone calls you on your mobile, you have an option whether you're going to answer it or not, right? So if and it's the same with your house phone, you have an option to answer it or not. You know, like I know my mum has like when she's at home and that she doesn't answer her house phone, like when house phones were a thing, she never used to answer the house phone after 8:30 because for her, you can contact her between 7 in the morning and 8:30 at night. Anything after 8:30, that's her downtime. That's her self-care time. So she don't need to be talking to anyone, And for me, it's the same thing. Like when I'm going to sleep, I actually put my phone, I actually sometimes put it on flight mode because
Really?
when I'm very, very tired, I will literally switch it off and put it on flight mode. Even though my phone is on silent, like I just want to, that's my time. Like my bedtime is that precious. But yeah, I always find it, I know like it in this generation where I've not heard it once, I've heard it so often now. And I was just like, so literally asking people what time you should call them on their mobile is actually a thing. I was just like, for me, it's like slightly bizarre because I'm just like, call me anytime. If I answer, I'll answer. If I don't, I'll get back to you.
Well, look, everybody has their own way. Like everybody's got their own method. Like there's no right or wrong answer. It's just how everybody does their thing.
How's your week been?
It was interesting. I went to a show. I got my phone because I don't remember what the show was called. It's called Street Food Live.
Yeah.
Over in Excel.
Yeah.
It was a really interesting show. Like they had stuff about like street food, about like drinks, about like for like vendors, for like if you were in the takeaway industry, and they had loads of little different talks and things like that. And it was a great place, I guess, if you are trying to get into, I guess, the food market to either learn about whether you need like suppliers for whether it's like equipment, EPOS, food suppliers, all that kind of stuff, to just like meet and greet people and stuff like that. So it was interesting just to walk around there. Met some real cool people. A lot of, I guess, reinforcement for what I'm doing, that I guess I'm on the right track and just seeing people in similar paths and stuff. One thing that I did want to share with the audience that I took. So basically we touched on like cloud kitchens before.
Yeah.
And I spoke about them. But I guess what I didn't know at the time, right, is that there's more interpretations of this like whole cloud kitchen thing, right? So you have cloud kitchens, ghost kitchens, dark kitchens, and then virtual restaurants, right?
Yeah.
So at the time of hearing it, I thought they were all the same thing,
Yeah.
right? Turns out, I just want to share this with everybody just to clarify it, right? Cloud kitchens, right? So that's the person who's operating like the real estate, the building,
Yeah.
right? So they come in, they have a building, they might chop it up into like several kitchens and then, let those out. So you can like rent a kitchen and do your thing, right? And then a ghost kitchen or a dark kitchen is the person who's actually like renting that commercial space.
Okay.
So they're the one who rent the space, cook the food, sell it out, and they have like lots of times like multiple brands
Okay.
operating out of that kitchen. And then you have a virtual restaurant, right? So a virtual restaurant is basically implementing a restaurant in an existing restaurant.
Okay.
So you're not renting any infrastructure, renting any buildings or anything. You go into somebody's restaurant and then you'd be like, hey, look, you have this kitchen, add this to your menu, or we'll do this with your menu, and then set it up as a separate restaurant, and then sell that kind of food. What I thought was really, really, really interesting is like there's this company, right, doing this with like virtual restaurants, making absolute killing, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't remember the exact numbers, but like it's definitely over six figures. Like they're literally going into different restaurants around the country, and not just here in like Germany, and they're going in and being like, hey, what ingredients do you have? We'll make this, this, and this with this ingredients. The turnover time for this particular dish is like, under a minute or so, and then we'll sell it for you as like an additional like ancillary form of revenue for that restaurant and stuff. And it literally, they're just going from restaurant to restaurant to restaurant, and they don't have to rent nowhere, they don't own nowhere, and there's like so low risk in doing it.
I'm still trying to process that, so I'm being a bit slow. So basically, they make an addition to that restaurant's menu.
Cool. So like you remember, okay, say they came to like your calf, right? They say, okay, cool, what ingredients do you have there?
Yeah.
Right? And they'll take those ingredients and be like, okay, cool, we can make a donut, for example.
Yeah.
So we're going to open up Jamaica Donuts, whatever.
Yeah.
That's going to be a separate restaurant that exists on like Deliveroo, Uber Eats only.
Yeah.
And they're just using the ingredients that you already have.
Oh, wow.
And for them, it's low risk because they don't have to rent nowhere.
Yeah.
And then for you, it's low risk because it's, you know, it's already ingredients you already have.
Yeah.
They're making sure it's stuff that you can turn around really, really quick.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's just an additional source of revenue. And if it blows up, like... And this company was even saying for some of the restaurants that they've done this for,
Yeah.
the turnover's been more than the actual restaurant was making anyway.
Really?
Yeah, so like that's just like the opportunity in this is just like it's like massive, and that's for the virtual restaurant.
That's
And
crazy.
So like the sky's the limit now. There's actually no excuse. Like when you've got like this, like I was saying this, so for people listening, I'm just holding up my phone. When you've got the phone, you've got like the internet, you've got like these things, like there's no excuse now.
You know what? I've actually been thinking about that, and like especially in the climate that we are in today, where like literally, kind of like everybody is their own salesperson.
Mm-hmm.
There is kind of like no excuse for you to be having a side hustle. And funny enough, I was actually saying this to my mum. It sounds really weird, but I was saying this to my mum, and I was saying to her, like, look, there's no actual excuse for you not to have a side hustle. Because I was just like, look, you spend so many time, like the game, like my mum is addicted to playing, like just not my mum, I would say like my grandma, my aunts, they're all addicted to playing like games on their phone. And I would want to have like, even if I'm trying to have a conversation with my mum, right, she's deep into this game. Yeah, you'd think that my woman is in a trance. This game has tranced her the heck out, right? And I was just like to her, look, there's no actual excuse for you not to be doing a side hustle, because the game that you're playing has probably been made by some little kid, and that kid is collecting pure coins from the time that you are actually on this game. So I was just like, you need to not in a bad way. I was like, find a side hustle. There's like, you will not know who wants it. Like, people don't know what they want until you've done it. People don't know what they need up until you create it. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't know that I needed, I don't know, like, you're talking about that virtual kitchen thing. I'm just like, sounds like a real good, like, I could do that. In my head, I'm just like, you're telling me, I didn't know about it, but now I'm like, my brain is just like, maybe I do need that. Like, you know what I mean? So technically, as humans, we actually don't know what we need up until it's been created, because then we'll find it resourceful in our lives. You know what I mean? Because it makes our lives easier. So yeah, there is actual no excuse, because there is money to be had in every single way. Like, we always knew we needed like everybody knows they needed advertising, but who knew that the average person can literally create themselves on Instagram, IG, Facebook, whatever, Snapchat, whatever social media platform that you use to be an influencer. You're every one single one of us are influencers, but it depends on how hard you want to make money out of it or not.
Yeah, no, 100%.
So
like you, like the opportunities are just like mad. Like being an influencer, creating your own thing. Like you don't even have to be the face. Do you know what I mean? Like you can just put people on. You only have to look at like the Gymshark story and things like that. There's so much opportunity out there. It's funny what you were saying about like your mum playing games and stuff. I remember back in the day, my mum always used to say to me like, "Hey, like stop watching Fresh Prince. Fresh Prince has made his money. You need to go and, you know what I mean, learn your books." Do you know what I mean? So look, the opportunity's there. We just have to go grab it. And we're here to share those stories, and hopefully, you know, in future when we start getting some guests, or maybe people that are doing some stuff, we share what they're doing and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, I'd love to get somebody on who actually runs a virtual kitchen, or
that would be interesting.
Like people who run virtual kitchens, dark kitchens, cloud kitchens, and see their experiences, because like you know, one of our inspirations for actually doing this podcast on food is because food is just blowing up in every direction. Food is like the new, I wouldn't say it's the new clothing, but like we are just so much like food is a thing. Like when you see people queuing up for food, like I remember back in the day, like would I ever queue up for food? I'm not sure if I would, but now like it's actually quite trendy to queue up for food. I mean, there's still people who believe in not queuing up for food, but when you see a group of people or a line queuing up for a restaurant, your mind well, for me anyway, as a big foodie, I'm so curious about what that tastes like. You know what I mean? I want to automatically join the queue because I'm just like, this must be good because there's a big queue. You know what I mean? Like, but it's not for everything. I mean, I've queued up for things I've been like,
Do you like Shake Shack?
I haven't tried it. I've had the fact that, funny enough, like the reviews in the States are like really, really good. And then the reviews over here are very mixed. So it's one of those places, like we've had a lot of like things come from the States. Like we've got Wingstop, we have Chick-fil-A. Yeah, Chick-fil-A. What else do we have? We've got Sweet Chick, is it Sweet Chick? Nas's restaurant has opened.
Oh, okay. I heard about it coming.
Yeah, I think it's I think it's called Sweet Chick. If I'm not mistaken, but I may be using their Instagram name. So we've had an influx of like the American. We've got Five Guys, I think my thing is, it's great that we have the things from the States coming here. But do they taste the same? The answer is no, because the ingredients they use over in the States, half of them aren't even allowed in the UK under EU regulation. So in terms of taste, it's going to be a bit different. You know what I mean? The way we farm our chicken over here, it's going to taste different from the way they farm their chicken in the States. I'm just talking facts. When it comes down to, does it taste the same as the United States? The answer is probably no. And the fact that, back in the States, when they deep fry their thing, the seasoning that they put, and in comparison to over here where it's a nanny state, there's too much salt in that. We'll take that ingredients off. So it doesn't actually mirror what you're eating over in the States. So my answer, it's like McDonald's over here, like everybody says the McDonald's breakfast in America bangs, yeah. And then people like McDonald's breakfast over here bangs. I'm just like, I must be missing something. Or probably I'm not that much of a big McD's fan like that. But, that's how I see it. So I haven't tried it. I've wanted to. But what's your verdict on it?
It's okay. Like it's not so cool. So it's funny that you went into like how like it is in the States. Like I saw queues in the States, like literally like queues going, and like even like when you look at like videos on like not Instagram, YouTube, there's queues like going around the block. So
for Shake Shack.
For Shake Shack, right? So I was there thinking like this stuff like tastes like gold dust, right? Yeah. So when I had it here, it was okay.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, if you were to taste it in the States, you'd probably understand why. 100%. It's like when I tried KFC in Florida, I was like, this is the holy grail of fried chicken. And my brother was just like, it's not as good as Popeyes. It's all right. But then I tried KFC over here. It's just like, funny, a friend said to me, chicken cottage tastes better. And so that's why I'm just like, kind of thing. So for me, anything that comes over here, anything imported, basically, any restaurant kind of imported from the States, it doesn't really always measure up. Like, I really, really want to try Wingstop. But then when I went in there, and then I'm one of those people who, I look at what the person in front of me has ordered. By the looks of it, I wasn't massively impressed by the wings that I saw. So I was once again, I'm on the fence, but I still want to try it.
So as you know, Wingstop's not too far from where we're recording, so maybe we'll get some in. I wasn't blown away by Wingstop at all.
I mean, my brother's not blown away, and my brother, like, his wing, he does his own wings, and his wings like completely bang, and he wasn't. Like, if my brother's not impressed with it, then I'm just like, no, it's fine. I'm not in a rush to try it.
And see where you touched on KFC, like the KFC in Ghana. Yeah, I don't know if it's changed, but like a few years ago, like they're the wings that they did there.
There you go. You see what I mean?
It makes these ones taste like.
Yeah.
I don't know, like KFC in the UK, like it's just like.
It's not like. In America, apparently, the further south that you go, the better the chicken, the better the spices. It gets spicier. It's like in South Africa, one of my favorite burger bars is Steers, and there's a Steers here in Clapham. Yeah, Clapham Junction. I've never felt the urge to go into Steers in Clapham Junction because I'm just like, it's not the same. I'm not going to be eating the same. And when I had Steers in South Africa, jeez, that double patty, like I didn't even finish it, like because but for me, that was amazing. Like for me, that burger bar is great. But I'm sure now someone's going to say there's a better burger bar than Steers in SA. But that's one of my favorite places. I
you think part of like finding some of these things tasting nicer is because of it's just different?
I just think there's a lot to it. Like I said, the way the meat is reared in South Africa is different from the way beef is produced in England. The way chicken is reared in England is different from the way they do it in the States. Then it's the spices. I think for me, the spices that we have over here, they're not that packed full. It's not packed full of flavor as much. Whereas I find the spices that I've got from South Africa, them ones bang. The spices in America bang. And I think as well, with Britain says the EU regulations, the salt levels here is all that we can't. Them things are accounted for. It's like, oh, that's too much high. That's too high in cholesterol. We can't deep fry that. We're gonna bake that instead. So there's slight changes that they make to the recipe when it comes into the UK, just because of the regulations against the salt and the fat and the da-da-da. Whereas in America, I mean, come on, they still have supersize. Like, I think McDonald's don't have supersize anymore because there was an uproar. Oh, obesity, blah, blah, blah. They're going to take that off the menu. So does it taste the same? It tastes as best as it can in the UK. But it's just the same as like, when I taste, like we were talking about in, I think last week's episode or a couple of episodes ago, how I only like African Fanta. I don't like British Fanta or EU Fanta. I don't even think I've tried. I think I've tried Fanta in the US and it was mad orange, and I was like, yo. But I think I like the drinks over in the US because I know they don't hold back on those E numbers. You get what I mean? Like, so for me, like EU stuff, like British stuff, just has a notion that there's an underlying blandness in some of the things. No lie.
100%. Like we've discussed before, I just prefer to have full indulgence.
Yeah. And
just limit it, as we spoke about.
Yeah.
Relationship with
like
food
I would so. Like, I'm the type of person that if I'm gonna have a burger, I wanna go all out. Like I'll get like the double cheeseburger and Five Guys with all of the freaking toppings apart from bacon. I want to have full indulgence, but I'm not eating Five Guys. Like, I'm not eating a burger like every single week. I'm having a burger, probably a proper good burger, once every 3 months or something. So when I do want one, I want it packed full of flavor. I'm not skimming. I'm indulging.
100%. I think this leads us nicely into our starters. One of which to touch on, I think, is McDonald's. And McDonald's, news articles, I always use this word slammed. I always think it's like OTT. Like,
it is OTT. This is on the Daily Mail, and McDonald's. I spoke about what McDonald's do as well in one of our other episodes. And McDonald's basically are being slammed for selling festive lattes that look nothing like the original snaps. Now, I know in one of our other episodes, I spoke about how I went to McDonald's at like 2 a.m. and they tried to give me a half packet of fries and it didn't. I told her, babes, you need to make it look like the picture. I don't know. This doesn't shock me.
Okay.
Especially with McDonald's, because nothing looks like the picture. If let's be honest, when you get your Big Mac, does it look like the picture?
No,
exactly.
Flat. It looks, it looks dry.
When you get your cheeseburger, what does a cheeseburger look like? It looks like it's been through a hard time, and
basically,
and it's happy that it's been chosen.
But it's
just happy to be involved with your mouth. Like it's happy to be involved in the situation that it's going to be involved in.
Yeah.
But it looks nothing like the picture. So why would it shock me that when you order a latte from McDonald's, first of all, McDonald's isn't Starbucks in it. So they're not baristas in there. They're not trying to spend time on making a perfect latte or a perfect cappuccino. They're pushing a button on a machine, it's dropping down all the ingredients for it, and all they have to do has just a part of like decor is spray the cream on top. But obviously that's asking way too much. So I'm not surprised. That article doesn't surprise me. It's funny, but I don't know, I'm not surprised.
You know what it is though, right? It's because we're moving into like this Instagram era, right?
Yeah.
People are doing stuff just for the pictures, right?
Yeah, for the gram.
100%. So the chances are people are like, hey, that will look good on my feed. I get some likes.
Yeah.
So I've gone down to McDonald's now to get this latte just for the picture, right?
Yeah. And
it doesn't look like that.
But
so,
why would you be Instagramming McDonald's though? Not to say that McDonald's doesn't deserve to be Instagram, but I'm saying it's never looked like I've never had McDonald's that looks like the pictures, and I've come to the point where I don't actually care that it doesn't look like the pictures, because in my head it's a fast food joint, so it's like, here's your food, bye.
Have you ever seen those videos on YouTube from like those food photographer things? And
yeah. And I've seen all of the tricks that they do.
It's mad.
Yeah, it's
not even food.
Half of it's not. It's just so they can get a good picture. It's like they use so many different things just to get the color right.
Yeah.
For the cheese, and you know for the lettuce to look fresh and to snap. You know, they've frozen it for a bit so it snapped. And then you get your burger and you're expecting the same experience. And it's just like, hold up. So basically, and even when they do the latte, sorry, I actually need to burp.
Let it out.
It's gone now. But it's like on the adverts, for them to get the cream like that, it's not actually, they don't actually use cream. I think they use shaving foam. They use shaving foam because it doesn't melt away. Because if it was real cream, you only have a limited window. And this is what I'm saying. Like a lot of like I said back in one of my, it's false advertising. And this is why when I go to McDonald's, like that's why I hotted up that the woman serving me, saying like, fam, just make it look like the picture. And she was like, I can't make it. Stop saying this false advertising then. Like, yo. But I'm not surprised. I slightly find it funny, but that people are just like, but McDonald's is supposed to look like this. It's just like, fam, they're not Starbucks. It's fast food. They do what they can in it because they're always busy. It's fast food. But at the same time, I'm going to have to say, McDonald's, you have to literally practice what you preach. So if you're showing us these beautiful lattes, I expect my latte to come out looking beautiful like the picture.
You know, don't they have... So I'm looking at the picture and it's got that Muck Cafe thing. Don't they have like a separate... Because I know in certain places in Europe, they've got like a separate Muck Cafe shop kind of thing. So isn't that meant to be like their premium? I could be wrong, people listening. Like, isn't that meant to be like the premium bit? I don't know. I could be wrong.
I wouldn't know.
Sure.
All I know is that when I went to Copenhagen earlier on this year, they didn't really have that many McDonald's, unless the areas that we were in there, we just couldn't see the McDonald's. But they had like loads of Burger Kings. And we went to Burger King in Copenhagen. Let me tell you, like, I was so impressed because it actually looked like the picture. The food looked like the picture.
That's how it should be though, right?
And I was actually really, really, really impressed. It was mad expensive though. I think it was like, I mean, Copenhagen is expensive, but I appreciated it. And I can actually tell you, it was a good, but I can't remember what I had, but I know it was a good burger and I didn't finish it. But it looked like the picture. You know,
you just made me realize, just putting two and two together, like Instagram, I guess, is a bit of transparency, because I've never heard or never seen a thing where like the food in Instagram didn't look like the picture, didn't look like the dish. Because Instagram's kind of like here it is.
Yeah. It's instant. It's real time.
So it's just making me think that like I've never looked at McDonald's like Instagram before, but like
I've never seen it. That's why I said who Instagrams McDonald's, because I've never seen someone Instagram McDonald's. I've never seen someone going, hey, I've seen someone holding a packet going, it's like I'm eating at McDonald's, but it's kind of just like, you know, for me, I've
just brought up the Instagram.
Okay, so we're on McDonald's Instagram, and they've got like a picture of the filet of fish. Yeah, that burger never looks like that. That burger always looks like a struggle when you get it. I'm not even gonna lie. Whenever you get a filet of fish, right, that burger looks like it's a struggle burger.
It looks like an Iceland like.
And on the Instagram, it looks perfect. But the fact is, I naturally haven't seen an influencer do a real-time snap of... If we did real-time snaps of McDonald's and then tag them into... You know what? I think that's what we should do.
What?
I think we should do real-time snaps of McDonald's. Like, go to different McDonald's, take real-time snaps and say, is this your burgers? Because, like, for real, it doesn't look like that. But, I mean... What?
Yeah, look, I mean, I was about to say they're getting away with it, but I mean, when I go to McDonald's, if I do go, it's our consistency. Like, you know what you're getting.
Yeah, no, I go to McDonald's because it's consistent. It's just like, I'm going to order the same thing. Like, my thing right now is just like the wrap of the day and medium fries. Like, it's consistent. It's not going to, yeah.
I'm on this, either get a quarter pounder
with
a chicken mayo, or is it mayo chicken?
I don't know, but yeah.
Or I get a double cheeseburger, then chicken mayo chicken, and then fries. And like I like the strawberry milkshake actually.
You know what? Because I stopped drinking dairy milk, and so having milkshakes. Let me tell you, I've had one milkshake this year because I really, really wanted one, and it was from Five Guys, and it was a salted caramel and Oreo. Let me tell you, that milkshake was hella delicious, but let me tell you, I suffered for the 24 hours that came after. It's not something I do every day. That's not something I do every day. Even like this past weekend, it was my mom's birthday and she made mac and cheese, and I looked at it and I was like, fam, the last time I had cheese, yeah, let me tell you, that 24 hours was it's not for the faint-hearted these days. Like, so, I mean, everybody tells me, even I was in McDonald's yesterday and I was like, oh, I'd like a milkshake. And I was like, oh, but I don't want that 24-hour flavor. So I have to be, if I'm getting a milkshake, it's strategic. Am I at home for the next 24 hours? Because, yeah.
So, like, when I make this ice cream, then you can't even do any taste test?
No, you know what? Like, I'm not going to lie. Like, bun it for ice cream, I will.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, but it's because milkshake is literally, it's like some people make it with ice cream and full fat milk. Like, there's no point of having a milkshake without full fat milk, right?
Okay.
No skinny kind of milk. You have to really. And all of that literally going through my system, even when I have a coffee with normal milk, because say if I'm just in McDonald's and I'm just like, oh, can't freaking be asked to go into a cost. I'm that next couple of hours, it's tough, but you know, and it's kind of murder. So that's why I said I have to be strategic with milkshakes because it's just a lot to handle for my system, and it can't go in full like that. So
I understand. You know, on that note, from going to that show, I actually learned that, like, I knew, but that show reinforced it. Like, vegan ice cream is like huge. Like,
yeah, I mean, I'm gonna tell you, like, really good vegan ice cream. I think it's called Bougie or Bourgeois Bougie. Like, there's this. We'll put the link up to it, but I'll find
you have to remind me.
Yeah, and I'm going to remind you as well.
Okay, cool.
Go try it.
Yeah.
They're in supermarkets now because it only used to be in Holland and Barrett's and all of like the health shops, but now they've expanded. Let me tell you, when that ice cream is on offer, sorry, I'm a cheapskate like that sometimes, because that ice cream, I think it's like about £6 per tub or something like that. Let me tell you, when that ice cream, one of the best vegan ice creams that I've tasted.
What flavor we're talking?
I'm a salted. When it comes to ice cream, I'm a salted caramel girl. So salted caramel, amazing. Even their vanilla is really good. There was the Swedish. I think is it Swedish glaze? I think it's that.
What kind of flavor is that?
Swedish glaze was one of the first vegan ice cream.
Oh, is that the brand or the flavor?
Yeah, it was a flavor, but then they so basically it was a brand on its own called Swedish glaze, and then they got bought by Walls.
Oh, interesting.
And I can officially, well, I don't want to say I'm not officially, unofficially, when it got bought by Walls, the flavor something happened. It wasn't like it was before. It's still a good vegan ice cream, but I want to say when my mum first introduced me to it, that ice cream, my mum was waxing off. She would buy everybody their own tub. Like, even still today, when we order that ice cream, she's like, I got my tub. There's one for you, Tafara. There's one for you, Nastassja. There's one for like whoever wants ice cream, buy their own tub. Even my nan waxes one tub off on her own. Everybody's just, that we used to just buy our own because it was that good. When it got bought by Walls, the recipe
It just wasn't it.
It's still good.
Yeah.
But I prefer the original. So I don't know what they did to it. And you know, when they put new and improved, that means, oh gosh, the ingredients they must be using some next milk. You know, I don't even know.
You know that new and improved thing, right? I remember in high school, right? Apple Tango, right? This is going back a long time ago.
I know what you're going to say. Apple Tango used to bang, and now it's just like...
I literally used to drink they had the bottle. I drink a bottle a day. Obviously, it's mad unhealthy. But these days, I used to play like a lot of football. But ever since they changed that recipe, this is like a long time ago. It's disgusting. I'm
1000% with you on that because my mum was addicted to that. She put me onto that and I got addicted to that. And my mum always used to have an apple tango with her. When they changed up the recipe, she was just like, no, it's not nice anymore.
Something just
so whenever they put something like, oh, new and improved recipe on something, just know that they've taken out the good ingredients and replaced it with some artificial flavoring or something. It's just like how all the drinks that we spoke about, the sugar-free, the sugar tax, and how all the drinks taste like real shitty. And like normal Coke is the one, and you have to buy the original Coke.
Yeah, either like do it properly or just don't do it at all. Also on the starters, something which is a bit unsavory. So basically, I'll just read the title. So this is a story from the Metro, and the title reads: "Racist sent banana to black man on Wetherspoon's app." So what essentially happened? This young man, 24 years of age, was sent a 30p banana on the app. So when he received it, I guess the staff didn't, really think anything untowards about it. Gave them the banana, and when he approached them about, hey, this is a bit racist, like I'm receiving a banana just by itself, they didn't really see like a problem. He did, want to complain and push this further, and they basically told him, hey, look, this is out of our hands. This is a police issue. And then when he approached the police, they're obviously doing their investigations and so on. But Wetherspoon's approach has kind of been like, we apologize to the customer and appreciate the distress caused, but this is now a police matter. I kind of feel that it's just my personal opinion, not good enough. I think like someone there has to be like switched on to like this kind of thing. Like when you're engaging with your customers, whether it's like a full service restaurant or like it's low end, no matter how down like high or low down the scale. Whoever's serving has to have a level of understanding about the customer, right?
Yeah.
And if that person doesn't realize, right, whoever's in management, whoever issued this reply should go above and beyond to be like, we sincerely apologize. Yeah, it's a police issue, but, we'll do our internal investigations. Maybe that person that used that app, they can, potentially track that transaction, potentially, ban that person. Just like...
Yeah,
it just feels so nonchalant.
Yeah. Definitely, they can actually trace who made the transaction. I've actually used the Wetherspoons app. I think it's very, very handy if you're in Wetherspoons and you don't want to go to the bar, or if you're on your way, you can just literally sit down at a table, open the app. make your order and your drink will come over to you straight away. For me, the I get why. Obviously, the person who was serving, who brought over the banana, the fact that they literally said, sorry, we did not order the banana. At that instance, that waitress should have just taken the banana and just gone and said, I'm really apologize. Let me take it away. But for the fact that he or she just left it and was just like, well, somebody's just ordered it for you. Bam. It's kind of just like, do you not know? Like, and this is the thing, like, they won't see it as racist. And I think this is where, in the world where other people may read this and go, oh, but it was only a banana. But no, there's historically a history of black people, like in football, what has the chanting been of monkeys? And they always say, I mean, I've experienced somebody, a white person saying to me, oh, do you want a banana? And it's just kind of like, really? Like, really? So that in itself, Wetherspoons, I really feel like they're not taking the responsibility and really looking into the matter and saying like, okay, that is like, this is making somebody feel very uncomfortable. I mean, this happened in Bromley. Like, for me, that's still London. That's still central. It's not central London, but within the perimeters of London, that, you know, a chain like that can't recognize that was racist, and it made a customer feel very uncomfortable. And the customer, you know, he even goes on and states, it made me, for a split second there, he was just like, he even questioned, hold on, is this racist? Am I overreacting? Is it like, and then you're overwhelmed with all of these feelings, feeling like, looking around thinking, who could it have been that sent that? Of course they know where the banana came from, because they would have said, when you use the app, it tells you, you have to put in the the table number, and you have to put in your personal details as well to pay for the card. So it's just one of those things where they're not even bothered about it. They're just like, oh, just eat, accept that somebody sent you a banana. That's horrible. You're in what he says is his local, and you've got somebody in there like buying somebody a banana and then just walking out and thinking it's funny. No, it's not funny.
100%.
Zero tolerance. And this is the thing. Big corporations like that not taking a zero tolerance on racism in the 21st century. But hey, what's new?
So I got two things to say on that. Number one, look, if they would be using like a fraudulent card, they'll soon find out who was making the transaction. So, you know, 100%, if they want to track that person,
they can.
It's feasible. Secondly, as well, is like the first issue is obviously the racist act, if you like.
Yeah.
Look, it's not necessarily Wetherspoon's fault. They weren't the I guess the instigator. Obviously, I think we're in agreement. Sorry, that the way they've handled it hasn't been the best. But the next part is like, for me, you, whoever's listening, like, how do you act upon this information? You know, and the reason why I say that is there's like, so three things. One, you see what H&M did with like the whole like monkey boy in the t-shirt thing, right? There's that.
Yeah.
There's the Prada incident where they had like those racist little like I think it was bags and like keychains things in the window in like Paris, and then I think there was Gucci as well.
Gucci with the masks.
Right?
Was it Gucci who did the mask? But Gucci, I think it was Gucci with the mask, and then there's another brand.
There's another brand as well
that did blackface, and it's just kind of like,
there you go. And then on top of that, there was a dude, I don't know where this was, if you like Google it, you'll find it. A guy, I think, like smashed up a nail salon. I'm not sure if you heard the story. Smashed up a nail salon because I think they were being like racist, like the black women that came in there. So like he smashed up the whole place, and he went to like prison for it. For some time or whatever. He does another video where he goes back after he was like, hey, look, standing up for my people, smashed up the shop, whether it was, you consider it too extreme or not. And then he goes back to see it's full of, black people have gone back to the same shop that were being like racist to them. So I'm saying all this to say it's like, are we hearing it? Is it going in one ear, out the other? It's like, it's all well, like even like kicking up fast, like sending that social media tweet and, being, hey, this is wrong, liking it, sharing it, then telling your friends and whatever. But if you're like 6 months later, you're buying that H&M or Prada t-shirt again, like it's like, who's learning here, And I think that's what's more important, because the only reason why Wetherspoon perhaps might have a reaction like that is because like we'll be back next week.
What you said, everything you said is not a lie. And I think our stance to racism, we do scream and shout. Like when things happen, we do make up a noise about it, but it's our consistency and our actions that really, really drive the message and tell these corporations that we stand zero tolerance against it. I know Gucci came out and then they had this whole program that they said they were going to implement for the people on the boards, the designers to be black and stuff like that. But is that really enough? Like, why do we, it's like, why, if I'm being honest, I think some brands consciously do it for, it's very controversial that you'd even like do like blackface or even use like do mask, like black mask and stuff. But you're completely right. It's not just about highlighting these things. It's taking an action and a stance against it and being consistent in those actions and those in the actions that we take. If we say we're not going to buy, like there was this whole thing about stop buying Gucci, but I'm sure we've all gone back to buying Gucci. I'm sure that there was never people who stopped buying Gucci. You know what I mean? And
so on the Gucci thing, right? Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Right. It's funny. My friend always used to say, and it's the truth, like I had a Gucci addiction. Like I used to go in and spend like a good few hundred, like very often, like every few weeks or so, like a good few hundred, like, yeah. But look, I don't have that Gucci money at this point in time, right? But I am not, as much as I love like the designs and that there, like they've crossed the line. Do you know what I mean? And it's only once if me personally feel like they've done enough to like repair and build bridges and bonds again, then maybe when I have that Gucci money again, maybe. But until then, I don't see it, And look, I think now's a time where there's like so many alternatives, right?
Yeah.
There's so many alternatives where we can be a bit more considered about what we buy, whether that's food and looking at, okay, like are the ingredients ethically sourced?
Yeah.
The chickens they get to run and play around during the daytime, or like this the farmers, are they compensated right for this? We got so much more choice and options to do those investigations. And I'm starting to see, I'm pausing here because there's things I can and can't say, but basically someone close to me did a taste test for a product that they're releasing, and one of the things that came out of it was just like the audience that they had are definitely moving to more things that are more ethically sourced.
Yeah, I think the whole, I just feel like the underground vibe of just like in the times that we live in is people do want things that are ethically sourced, and people are, people not in any bad way. I'm not even ashamed to say, like, people want to buy black. You know what I mean? We want to buy our own. Like, if I know that my brothers, my sisters are doing this, people are tuning into the more smaller companies. And I'm not saying we're tuning out of the big name brands. No, I think people are just being just that mindful of what they put on and into their bodies.
And that's beautiful, because it wasn't always like that.
No, because we always had one. It was just like, these are the massive companies, buy from the massive companies. But like I said, and like we both know, like in the era of social media or just having the internet at the tip of your in your hand, basically, you can surf wider. You have a broader search. You have much more options out in the world. So you go to what you really, really want. You know, there is somebody doing something that you need. Like I said in the beginning of the podcast, you don't know if you need something up until it's actually made. And then you're just like, oh, that would make my life easier. You know what I mean? So yeah, we have options now. And that's the beauty of it. And sometimes that's what it is. There's times where I feel like it's not even about kind of like making a huge stance towards these companies. What it is just go to your next option. And that's how you make your stand. You just go and buy what suits you.
Yeah, 100%. Vote with your pocket, vote with your feet, you know, and see what else is out there, because there's loads of people coming up, like great designers. Even start one yourself.
For real. I mean, I worked in fashion, and one of the things that I'm so happy about, or that just brings like inner joy to me, is seeing the rise of the black fashion designers out there that, you know, we're creating our own platforms now. There are, you know, because I can remember when I was in school, I mean, I've got stories from back in my fashion days. And there was one time, like, I remember I didn't go into studio one this day. And in my fashion class, there was, that was me, that girl, Louise. I know I just said that girl. That's really because I couldn't remember her name. Was there 3 of us? There's 4. Okay, so in my fashion class, when I went to, this is about, 10 years ago? No, it's not even 10 years ago. It's about 12, 13 years ago. Okay. There was only, out of a class of 60 people, I think 60 or 70, about 60 people, there was 4 black people, 1 black guy and 3 black girls, including myself. And I can tell you straight up, in that fashion class, the amount of times that I was confused with my friend Louise, and shout out to Louise, she actually did our logo. The amount of times I was confused, and I look freaking nothing like Louise, especially I'm curvier than Louise. So it was just like, what? So one day I wasn't in the studio. I happened to be in the library. I was working in the library. And Louise, I've come into the studio in the afternoon, and Louise says to me, "You never guess what happened this morning." I was just like, "What happened this morning, Louise?" And she said, and the worst thing is out of this as well, like, it was a black tutor that said this as well. And there was a Caucasian tutor as well that day. Or was it? I don't know. But apparently the 2 of the tutors had a good giggle about this as well. So I wasn't there. And Louise said, so that tutor, the black one, he says he's going through people's names, and we're having it wasn't a crit, he was just seeing the people on his list. And then he came in, she said he looked around the room. No, he came to the table where she was sitting at, and he looked around and he was like, where's that fat black girl? And she said the whole class went quiet and you could hear a pin drop. And I was like, did he actually say that? And everybody, even like all of like the other Caucasian people in the class, came and told me the same story. And they were just like, Nastassja, we found it very, especially that he's black. Even though he's black and he said that, we found it very racist. Like, because he had a good giggle with the other tutor who happened to be white. And I was just like, for real, he said that. So obviously I was just like, fam, like, the prejudice is just like prejudice, racism, and the fact that this guy actually, after when I actually came in, and then he sat and he was like, "Oh yeah, I was looking for you earlier because I couldn't see you," and I was like, "Oh yeah, so you called me the fat black girl, right?" And he just was like, and I was just like, "I'm gonna call you out for it. Like, I don't care if you're black like me." But just because you feel like you've been accepted into a certain crowd, don't be calling me out like that. I have a name, and my name is Nastassja. And that kind of experience, like, honestly, it probably, it kind of made me know as well that shit, like, the person that looks like me even knows, is calling me out by my color. You know what I mean? Like, it was just kind of, there was no need to say that. Like, so my experiences in fashion, like, that was probably one of the scarring stories about like me studying fashion. But yeah,
it's weird sometimes when people from our own background, call it ignorant or not, perpetuate racist connotations.
Yeah,
sometimes they realize they're doing it or not, but like, so that, I don't know, white student who may be in the room may feel, oh, if you're saying it, it's acceptable.
Yeah, that's the thing. And it made it makes other Caucasian people in the class comfortable. That's what I'm saying. Like, the other tutor laughed with him because he became, he was like, oh, you're calling her that, so it's okay for me to call that. And it's just
it's like the use of the word nigger.
Yeah.
One thing I didn't have that growing up, but like one thing I had is like, I guess people from my background using the term like colored people, and it just didn't sit right with me, you know, because it's like, you don't understand what you're saying, how that, you know, embeds in someone's mind, like, oh, okay, this is cool, or not even cool, just
it's like, once we accept, it's just like at that moment, like, once you accept somebody else, our own kinfolk calling us that, that means it for the outer people, what happens is it makes it seem okay for them to also use the word. The people become comfortable. The 100%. Outer world, you're basically, we're projecting to the outer world that, well, if you feel comfortable, then obviously, then it's okay for us to say it too, when it's just not, you know.
Speaking of like background and being black, things like that, I think we should serve them up with some mains.
Yeah, so it leads actually quite nicely into the main course. That was like a smooth transition, just like nice, like so we're talking about our main festive discussion today is about our cultural food and background. Just because you come from the Caribbean or you come from Africa, like I'm from Zimbabwe, must you love your cultural food? Or is it good? Can I say cultural food? Is that?
I guess that's the best way to make, I guess, people understand.
So, do you have to like food from your country?
Mm-hmm.
Personally, I don't like every Zimbabwean dish. I think my family have always struggled. It's funny because I struggle with so many different like Zim dishes, and they're not really massive, like in terms of like we don't eat, like, one of the things is I don't like I know in West African culture, like, snails are big. Not even just West Africa, I would say like West and Central, maybe even East, I don't know.
Have you got the big African snails in Zim?
Nobody's eating that in Zim, and if they do, like I don't know. I haven't seen them in a Zim dish. I mean, there is one thing that, like, I would say there's on the same kind of level of snails. They're called madora.
Okay.
Madora are like these little worms.
Okay.
They're little dried out worms. Yeah, I'm not fucking with those.
Those would be cool to
try. I'm actually going to try find a packet and bring it. Like, my daughter is one thing that I don't fuck with them shit. I'm not fucking with them. I'm not fucking with them. And the worst thing is, like, you know, I was born in Zimbabwe. I came here. I came into England. I came to England when I was a year and a half. So practically to everybody in Zim, my family back home, they're just like, you're English. You were just born here, but you're English. You grew up with an English mentality. So, dude. But my family, we cook Zim food all the time at home. I mean, I don't like I said, them little caterpillar things. I'm not trying to fuck with those. I mean, I don't like the natural maize. I don't like that. I like sweet corn, but I'm not trying to have that maize kind of thing for me. No, I'm not trying to eat that. I mean, in West Africa, what do you call shaki in the Caribbean?
Shaki?
Yeah.
I have no idea. About to Google it right now, though. How do you spell it?
Shaki is just like, what is it like? I used to think it was. I actually used to think it was the fur of the sheep, the skin of the sheep, but it's not. It's like the stomach lining or something like that.
How do you spell it?
Hold on. I think it's SHAKI. I think, and just search it. That.
Oh,
food.
this.
Yeah.
Nah. It looks a bit like tripe.
It's called tripe. That's
Okay.
what it is. That tripe stuff, I ain't fucking with that shit either. So in Zim, it's called guru. Don't eat that. Everybody who's from Zim, they're listening to me and they're just like, you got some British English palate right about there. I don't eat that. Then there is the intestines. I don't know I forgot what we call them. Don't eat those. Those tube. Nah, not trying to do that. I think the most out there thing that I've eaten in Zim that I'm just like, yeah, okay, I can do that is ox tongue. That's it.
Ox tongue. Okay.
See, I'm trying to think of other stuff. I mean, in Zimbabwean food, I mean, I don't really like. I mean, Zimbabwean meals are really full of like greens and pulses and cabbage. I don't really like cabbage, not because it's a Zim thing. I've tried cabbage on different occasions and it's just made me sick. I have this rule about me that if I need to try something 3 times and if it makes me sick, that means it's not for me. Like, and it sounds really, really weird, but it's sometimes that if I've eaten loads of things and I have, say for instance, like soup, I don't buy supermarket soup. I don't buy I don't like soup from a can. I have to have like homemade soup and I have to, like, it has to be cooked, like me knowing and seeing it. If I have soup from the supermarket, it's always made me sick. And I've tried this on 3 different occasions at 3 different points in my life just to make sure that my mind isn't playing tricks on me. And it's made me sick on 3 different occasions. So I'm just like, I don't fuck with like supermarket soup. I have the intention sometimes, I just want, I'll make soup myself.
Fair enough. So, like, I'm not a soup fan. Like, my mum and dad, they love soup. So I guess speaking about like my background, so there's a family member, I'm not gonna call out.
You should just do it because you've already.
But basically, this particular family member may call me out and say things like, hey, you're not like a real Jamaican because you don't like all these different kinds of food, whether it's like, I guess we call hard food, so like yam, banana.
Yeah.
Do you like yam?
I don't think it tastes of anything, but that's just me, and I just think I'll eat it, but it's not like my go-to food, and because like yam isn't really something we eat in Zim, like it's not something like, believe it or not, plantain isn't in Zim. So when it's like, you know, even my granddad, like now you can like it's found in Zim, that he'll be like, can I have some of that fried banana, that banana that you fry? And he's just like, because for us, it's not something like literally there. I can't remember being in Zim and having plantain at all.
I love that stuff. Like I can eat that boiled. I can eat that fried.
So plantain, yes, but yam,
I find it bland, and it just.
That's why I said it doesn't taste of anything. It's just like you have to put. I understand why people like it with pepper soup, because it's just kind of like you get to taste the pepper. You get to taste the soup. There's a great balance in that, because yam it's not like sweet potato. You know what I mean? Because I can eat sweet potato on its own, no seasoning, just boiled sweet potato. That's how I like my sweet potato.
I like it like roasted in the oven, but either way, I can still eat that like by itself.
Yeah.
But then look, there's loads of Jamaican dishes. It's funny what you were saying earlier about like them calling you British, because it's the same, because I'm born here, right? I'm seen as British, right? But it's, even though that's, I guess, all that was eaten in my household is like Jamaican food every week. There's a lot of dishes I don't like. I don't like ackee and saltfish.
I was about to say, do
you like it?
You know what? I like the name, so I think that's why I like it. But
the name?
Ackee and saltfish sounds, it's so exotic to me that it's just like, yeah, let me eat it. Then I start eating it, and then I'm just like,
no,
in my head it's just like.
But saying that,
it's cool. And yeah, ackee don't really taste of anything.
So there's this dish that I had.
It's like scrambled eggs, but not really scrambled eggs. I don't even know. It's one of those things that, like, obviously when it's seasoned to perfection, it tastes great.
So what you just said about seasoned to perfection. So there's a dish called palaver sauce, right?
Yeah.
I remember when I was staying in Ghana, I hated it. Did not like it. It was like when I was just leaving, I went to the guy's house and he had his cook make it, and it actually tasted nice.
Yeah.
So what I've become open to is still trying dishes that I know I don't like.
Yeah.
Right? It's like I was saying the other day, like up until very recently, I didn't like rice and peas.
Yeah.
Because now that I found there's a shop in Harlesden that makes it. But outside of that, generally, I just don't like rice and peas.
Yeah.
You know? But look, just my personal opinion, I don't think just because you're from a particular country or region that you have to like the food that is from there. I can understand for certain cultures, particular food is part of bonding.
Yeah.
Within that culture. So if you don't enjoy that food, you potentially can't, bond culturally.
I can tell you there's millions of food. Like there's another one, pumpkin leaves. Okra.
Yeah, I don't like okra.
Like everybody is always just like, how can you not like okra? That shit is slimy, fam. That's just like borderline on a snail, but it's not alive. That's how I see it. I remember the first time that my nan physically introduced me to okra. I tasted it. Let me tell you, I was one of those, like when someone's about to throw up and they look drunk and they're like drunk and wheezy, like I was like, sorry, but I was just like one of those drunk looking girls. I was trying to firm it, and I was just like, Nastassja, you're not going to throw up. You're not going to throw up. You're not going to throw up. And anytime I don't like something, I instantly feel nauseous, and I will vomit. And literally my nan was like forcing me, you have to like it. Keep it down. Keep it down. And I was just like keeping it down. And I was just like going delirious, like my eyes rolling back in my head because I just couldn't stomach okra. And I was just like, fam, I'm going to go hungry. I'll eat the fufu, the sadza. We call it sadza.
I like sadza.
I love sadza, like literally. But I'm one of those people that I don't eat, like, I can tell you for now, for sure. It's just like I was working with this other chef and he was like, how often do you eat like your own cultural food? Swear down, I haven't had sadza since the last time I was in Zim.
Really?
And that was 2017. And
wow.
The only reason, one of the reasons actually, is because, no lie, I'm one of those village girls. I like my sadza cooked on an open fire in the village. Because it tastes banging. It's just sweeter. I don't know what it is. I'm not saying that here it doesn't taste as nice, but let me tell you, like when it's cooked on an open fire in the village, bad, that shit bad. And when I go to Zimbabwe, to be honest, all I actually do eat, I don't eat rice and all of that. I eat sad and sweet potato, and I just put on hella load of weight because I'm just eating straight up. I'm eating carbs and carbs and carbs. When I go Zim, I'm having sadza for lunch and dinner, because it just tastes banging out there. When it's here, I'm not really that much inclined to it. And if I'm being honest as well, my mum doesn't really cook. My grandma, like, will cook cultural food, but not every day. Like, everybody, like for me, eating sadza every day or eating my own country food every single day here, it's just kind of like, my mum, especially that she loves cooking, it's very experimental. So we don't actually eat our own culture food. And that shocks a lot of my friends. They're just like, so you don't eat like Zimbabwean food every day? And it's just like, no. We don't. Like, a lot of my friends are always shocked when they come around for dinner and my mum cooks. They're like, I thought I was going to get some African, like some Zim dishes. And my mum looks at them and goes, fam, I spent my whole life eating that. What am I, like, and I'm still serving that today. Do you know how much other food, like flavors, that there is to taste? So I feel in that way, I have balanced cultural and just European, Asian food, whatever fusion my mum wants to do.
So being from the UK, quick interesting question, off topic, but kind of on topic. Is there anything you like to mix? Like, just a Zim dish that you'd like to maybe mix with a non-Zim dish that you like to have together?
I'm going to say no, because I've got one of those stomachs that's very tender. I call myself I don't like to mix too much. Like, if I start mixing a lot, my stomach goes haywire.
Or is there anything that complements it?
Okay, this is growing up. Like, one of my favorite things is cooking greens, but it's better if I say it in my language. I like to cook muriwo, which is green, like fried greens. Muriwo fried in tomatoes and onions and whatever spices, and put in muriwo on bread and butter as a sandwich. It's like the weirdest thing, but it's a thing in Zoom where you have muriwo on like muriwo sandwich.
So it's just like fried green sandwich?
Yeah, with tomato ketchup.
Interesting.
Like the weirdest thing, but it actually tastes real good. And I would say another thing, it's all coming back to me. Another thing that I like to mix, it's actually a thing in Zim as well. It's sadza and kora milk.
Okay.
And I said that in such a British, that my pronunciation on that was so British. But like my Shona is so British. Like, I'll pronounce it every word so British. But sadza ne kora milk. And kora milk is just kind of like yogurt, Greek yogurt. So you dump the fufu in the yogurt, and you put either honey on it or just some sugar on it, or just like that. That shit bags. That's breakfast. That's what they have for breakfast in Zim sometimes. Like sadza and yogurt.
Okay.
You're just thinking that's just wild, isn't it? Like, it's just wild.
So cool. It's one of those things, like, it's hard for me to like picture without tasting it. Like,
yeah.
I don't want to judge it without being like
sadza is just like, fufu is just like, it's bland in itself anyway, because that's why you have your greens and your meat to complement it. So it's kind of like a sweet, it's like having rice pudding, but a fufu version of rice pudding, but it's not hella, you get the sweet and the sour kind of taste. So that was my thing for a while, like literally having that. And sometimes what I'd have sadza. So this is why my waistline continues to expand. Like, sometimes like I'd have sadza, muriwo and nyama all together. And then for dessert, I'd have more sadza and kora milk and yogurt.
going in.
That's what it's actually. But funny enough, that took me time to actually like the sadza, and having sadza and yogurt actually took me quite a while to like. I'm just thinking of anything else that I've had in Zim that there's another thing that I like, but this is cornmeal. It's cornmeal porridge or cornmeal porridge and peanut butter.
Okay.
Peanut butter with a little bit of margarine in it. It's actually quite yummy.
That I'd need to taste. I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe
that and then I think that's it. I mean, I'm trying to think of any other funky. Oh yeah, there's these other little fishes. We call them matemba. And they're like little small fishes. I know, and everybody knows what I'm talking about. I don't know, but those little mini fishes, them things, don't fuck with those either.
Why? They taste bad.
You know what it is if I smell something, if you're cooking something and it smells like it's been dead for like over the course of like 2 weeks, fam, my stomach's not fucking with it. Because I'm just thinking about the shit that's going to happen after that, and it's not going to fucking happen. So anything that's been dead beyond like that, when you're cooking and it smells like it's a freaking corpse that's being cooked and you're trying to revive it, it's a no from me, fam. Like dried fish, like I love my West African people, but there's some dried fishes that y'all are cooking that I'm just like, you know what it was? Actually, my grandma's neighbor, right? Don't know if she'll ever listen to this podcast, but I don't think she will. One day, like, fam, like, I'm telling you, the whole line of, the whole row of houses evacuated. Because really? I don't know what she was cooking. She was cooking some sort of corpse that had been dead for at least, 5 years, fam, that she was trying to resurrect in her kitchen. And I evacuated. You know, we closed all of the windows in our house and it was still penetrating. And we all evacuated. I was just like, I'm out. I actually left my house because we were physically feeling sick. And the funny thing is, I evacuated. I went out and I met some of my other neighbors because we all ended up in Nando's. And we were just like, yo, I was like, hey, I ain't seen you for ages. And she was like, yeah, I ain't seen you in ages. But did you smell what number 9 was cooking? Shame, I'm even giving her house number away. She was like, did you smell what number 9 was cooking? Because fam, I thought it was me. And I was just like, we had a full on discussion. I was like, whatever she was cooking has been dead for 5 years. And she's trying to resurrect it in her kitchen. It's not happening, fam. And if you're putting that shit through your body, I don't even want to know what your toilet looks like because fam, it's peak out here. So all of for me, and that's what it is. And I know there are actual foods. There are, I'm not gonna lie, there's some foods I eat that are ultra smelly. But that was the point of that shit has either been dead for 5 years or it was alive in the dinosaur era because it was not. I'm telling you, no word of a lie. It took 2 days for that smell to disappear from our block. And I was just like, wow. What was she cooking? And it's not one of those questions. It's going to be like my 10th wonder in the world. Whatever was she cooking on that day? Because it was never repeated again.
Well, someone must have said something to her. But
so yeah. And another thing I'm not a fan of is mixed meat and all in one pot. No, that's a no for me. Fish, meat, pork, no, we can't do that. It has to be separate pots for separate animals.
Fair enough. Just touching on, I guess, things that I like to mix, perhaps that are from different regions. What I really like. Have you ever had breadfruit?
I have actually. I've had breadfruit. Actually, one of my friends who I used to work with, Chef D, he did fried breadfruit.
Oh, okay.
Delicious, man.
So what I really like is fried breadfruit.
Yeah.
And some plantain with a full English. That altogether is delicious.
you know what? I've already tasted that. That bangs.
Yeah, 100%. And then when you fry the breadfruit and just a little bit of salt and put some butter in it, let it melt.
Jeez.
And then, that stuff is nice.
Boy,
and fried hard dough bread. Not fried. Sorry. Toasted hard dough bread.
Yeah, I like toasted hard dough bread. I always toast my hard dough bread.
Yeah.
Toasted hard dough bread with a bit of melted cheese with Worcestershire sauce.
My mouth is actually watering.
That's something that who did this for me? I can't remember. Someone in my house put me onto this. Jam, toasted hard dough bread.
Okay.
With some jam on it, and then you put your cheese on it.
That sounds nice.
Like, I'm not even gonna lie, yeah. When this person first, I can't remember who put me onto that. When they did it, I was like, you see here, you're just trying to make my stomach do flips, innit? When I tasted that, I swear I was addicted to that for a good, like you become so addicted to it, like you're eating it like at least twice a day. And I actually then realized, I can put some pounds on here very easily, very quickly. But yeah, that's actually quite nice.
I think now's a good time to segue into flavour from the continent.
Yes. What do you have? Like, this is Lisimba's choice of flavour of the continent.
So this week we have some Jamaican rum cream. Sanjester's. I hope I'm saying that right. Sanjester's Jamaican rum cream. You've never had this before, right?
No, you're lucky I didn't bring a spare bottle today because I was I was taken after the week I've had. But boy, I'm not. It's a wine night tonight. Like, I'm actually being serenaded by a glass of wine tonight because I feel I deserve it.
So let me ask you a question. Do you like Baileys?
I do love Baileys. But, like I said, like with the way I'm being intolerant to...
Tell me when to stop.
No, that's good. If I want some more, I know you'll give it to me.
Yeah,
You're not mean like me.
I should do a poll on whether or not I should share or not. Let's see what the listeners think.
Listen, but sharing is caring, isn't it? I've shared everything with you. I've just not given you extra sometimes.
Okay.
And plus, when I ask you for extra, you're like, no, you don't go. You just say yes.
Hey, I've learnt my lesson. So I'm just gonna. So for people watching, I'm just gonna show them the bottle.
It smells delicious.
It smells really good. Huh?
No, it smells better than Baileys.
This is some really, really...
I think you can sniff this and automatically be drunk, but that's a lightweight. But yeah, this has hit my palate and I already get a sense of taste.
So let me not put words into your mouth. I've already done that by saying it. It tastes nice. So, it smells strong. I'll let you do the taste test. You go first.
This is so good. It's so smooth.
Yeah, very smooth. It feels silky. It's not overpowering in alcohol, but to me, it's just right.
It's not overpowering, and it's got a nice toffee tone to it as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not overly sweet. Like sometimes you can have Baileys, and sometimes it can be like overly sweet. Mm-hmm. This isn't overly sweet. You get the coffee. You get the coffee and the toffee notions in this, and it's just really silky smooth, and it's just delicious. I have an Irish cream cake on my menu. This would be, I think this would bang much more than me using Irish cream, because Irish cream can be a bit bitter, but that's also what makes it perfect for cakes because of the bitterness and the sweetness of the sugar of the cake. But this is absolutely smooth, and this would be
this will get you licked though, because it's so smooth. You let me have another one.
This is the kind of stuff that you're just like, you're sitting at home by yourself, you're watching TV, you're like, half of the bottle is gone. Yeah. You go to stand up, you're just like, whoa, I'm seeing like triple I've got like triple, quadruple vision. This is so good. This is a great flavor from the continent. Where can we find this? Where can we purchase this if you want to purchase this? This is a definite Christmas drink for me. This is leave me in the corner at Christmas and I'm doing my thing. Don't disturb me in it.
So in terms of purchasing, maybe I'm not as helpful as I should be, because I know my dad brings it from Jamaica. So I assume any good like liquor shop or like Sainsbury's or like your your local supermarket should have it. But my dad normally like brings a bottle back from Jamaica, so this is straight from the islands.
So good.
Yeah.
So good.
So I think that wraps up this week's episode.
It does. I think we've covered so many things in this week's this week's episode.
Yeah, you know what, people, everybody listening, you guys, if there's anything that you recommend, I guess, for Flavour of the Continent that you want us to try.
Yeah, like definitely want you guys as listeners to give us like point us in the direction of really good food, really good drinks, anything that you'd want us to try, or even if you haven't tried it and you would want to try it but you want us to try it. I'm always up for trying new things. I like to watch Lisimba try something and then make my decision whether I should go in or not. But yeah, send us your recommendations, and if there's any kind of topics that you'd like us to kind of cover as well.
Yeah, topics as well.
But yeah, that kind of wraps it up for this week. And
yeah, I want to thank everybody for listening. I'm going to give out the socials again so you know where to find us. So on SoundCloud, we are Juice. Actually, just search Juice and the Sauce podcast. Will come up in SoundCloud.
The way I would just say, on all social platforms, just search Juice and the Sauce.
Cool. Nice, short and sweet. And you'll find us. So yeah, tune in weekly for your weekly belly full... I missed that.
Okay, tune in weekly for your weekly belly full plate of a meal. You know what? It's the alcohol. We juice in while... This is shambles. We juice in while the sauce be dripping.
There you go. So
Lisimba wrote that. That's why I'm joking. I wrote this and I just don't even... I like literally read it and I was like, oh my gosh, this sounds amazing, Lisimba. And he was like, you wrote it? And I was like, oh. So yeah, we'll be juicing while the sauce be dripping, and tune in next week.
100%. See you guys next time.
Bye.